Patricia Stephenson from Ireland.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is it working now? Yeah. Thank you, Commissioner. You're obviously 2 years now into your mandate, and in that time we've seen a very sharp deterioration in the protection of rights in a variety of ways. The violations that we've seen in Ukraine, intolerance towards migrants, effective funding reductions at the Council of Europe, poor rates of execution of judgments, and this talk of sort of rupture of international law, as if we're pulling away from international law instead of leaning into it. And I suppose my question for you is, what more can the institutions do to address those serious structural and cultural declines that we're seeing across the environment of human rights protections?
Thank you. And Oleksiy Goncharenko from Ukraine.
Commissioner, Russian war of aggression against Ukraine caused the worst violation of human rights on the continent after the Second World War. And I understand that your capacity and possibilities to help people on the occupied territory is limited, but I ask you to do the best you can do. But also, unfortunately, we have internal problems on controlled territories. And one of these problems is a violent and brutal mobilization organized by mobilization teams, so-called TCK. And I want to ask you to pay close attention to this. I want to ask you to come to Ukraine, to pay attention, to help people to defend their rights. Maybe establish permanent mission to do more to help people to defend their rights in this case. Thank you.
Thank you. And Commissioner, the floor is yours.
Thank you. First, thank you to Mr. Brenner. I just want to assure you, Mr. Brenner, that I will stand up for the human rights of everybody, including national minorities. You have my word on that. I will stand up for their human rights on the basis of the international instruments. I will do it, of course, in close cooperation and in full recognition of the important role that the Framework Convention and its monitoring system plays with regard to national minorities. But in that context, I will. I must say, if you come from Western Europe, as I do, and in my case from the very furthest west of Europe, there may not be as much of an understanding instinctively of national minorities and of the significance and the human rights dimensions as there should be. But it may have come late to me, but I do get it, and I give you that assurance. Turning to Ms. Stephenson, and thank you, what can we do? The question is so big, I could spend my whole life answering it. But for me at least, what are the key elements of how we push back against the decline that I agree with you is of such a scale, and indeed I would largely describe it just as you did. The first thing is we must continue to insist that law is law. Law is not favours, law is not optional, law is binding. And we must use the full vigour of the binding quality of law to back our claims. That in turn means we should frame our claims based on law. And be careful to make that distinction between moral goods and legal requirements. Secondly, we have to recognise that the international human rights system as we have it is the only universally agreed roadmap to honour human dignity. I'll say that again. It is the only universally agreed roadmap to honour human dignity, universally agreed through the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. There is no other code of practice on earth that at least nominally has the agreement of every member state of the United Nations and beyond. And this is this means there's no plan B. If we discard human rights, or we diminish it, or we damage it, we have no alternative that is capable of delivering for human dignity. And then another dimension of the work is we all have to do a better job of telling the story of how so much of what we take for granted is because of human rights protections. So much of the normality of the everyday life of so many of us in this room is because of the people who went to the European Court of Human Rights and demanded vindication for a human right. My country, Ireland, there's so much of the modern Ireland is constructed around judgments of the European Court of Human Rights, and yet not many people know that. And so that's just one country specific, but you could roll that right across the member states to great effect. And so we need to tell new stories, and we need to engage the energy of young people who are furious with us. We've let them down so badly. And I see some young people upstairs there, and I don't know if they'd agree or disagree with me, but we have let them down so badly. And they see a vision of a better world. And with them, we can engage that roadmap of human rights towards a better future if we don't just tokenistically listen, but we actively partner up for a better world. That's the very short answer to a huge question.